And we are live. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe because this show will be action packed with a lot of controversy takes from Vince Miracle, the one and only. The Sacramento Kings moved up and landed the number 4 pick after having the 7th best odds. It happens every year, I feel like. Number 7 always moves up. Last year, number 7, the Toronto Raptors moved up and got my guy, Scotty Barnes, the Rookie of the Year. So we're excited for that because we got some top prospects, which we won't talk about much. Maybe towards the end of the show, kind of give you guys where we're at in terms of our favorites. But this show is mainly about 5 potential trades that Vince Miracle has been spewing all over Twitter, and my man is getting all types of hate. But he's okay with it. How you feeling, brother?
Good, man. I like talking trades. I think I don't know if they're really controversial like takes that I'm having, of more of like opening up the conversation to an idea of like that trade makes sense for both teams. You just have to find the pathway to it. Like you have to start the conversation somehow. You know what I mean? Like I find it to be very interesting, and some people just really hate me for it. Like really hate me for it, bro. It's
Yeah. And before we get into some of the trades, let's talk about the news that broke yesterday before the lottery and how people talked about, oh, this is bad vibes, only the Kings, Vivek Ranadive doing Vivek Ranadive things, hiring his daughter to be the assistant GM of the Stockton Kings, Angelique Ranadive, also known as Nani on Instagram. Your thoughts on it, Vince?
Look, man, it's I'm more question Vivek's decision than Anjali's decision to take up the mantle of as assistant GM of the Stockton Kings. Like, look, if my dad was the GM of a team and he's like, hey, do you want to be the assistant GM, or the owner of a team and say, hey, do you want to be assistant GM of our G League team? Like, you'd have power there. I mean, I'd take it. I think that job makes sense. You know, if I feel like I love the team, and she's been around basketball a lot as of late, right? She was in the All-Star game and stuff like that. So she got to be around.
We're trying to cover it now, man. Honestly, I think that makes sense, your point of view. But understanding that the Kings represent, BML and their progressive thinking, their forward thinking, all about not being exclusive to minorities. And they always talk about, oh, let's hire people who are qualified, right? And that's the big thing. Black coaches not getting hired. But then a woman that has no experience in front office positions, or let's be honest, in basketball, is going to get an assistant GM job for a G League professional team. That's disrespect at its highest point to the people that are busting their ass for years. So yeah, I'm gonna take exception to it, and I'm gonna be really upset when I heard that news. I was like, wait, what's going on? And like, is this a game? So yeah, bad on Vivek and bad on her for taking on that job.
I don't think it's on her. I think it's on Vivek more than it is on her. Like I said.
But that shows a lack of maturity from her though. From me, like, well, I'm not qualified. She knows she's not qualified though.
I don't know. I think it's more of a. They view it as a developmental league for the managers there too, I guess.
Oh my God! Well, if that's the case, man, me and you should just go apply then, huh?
I did actually. I actually submitted my resume. It was a ton of these trades. Unfortunately, Angeli had better NBA fan trades than I did, and she must have got it above me.
So earlier yesterday, I took my dogs out to this amazing training facility in Rancho Cordova. And it's Fidelis K9 Training. We're partnering up with them. They're going to take care of my dogs, man. It's a phenomenal facility. It's Marine owned and operated. Phenomenal guy. His team is great. I can't wait to see if my dogs come out just amazing. I'm sure they will because they have great customers and just customer stories. So I'm excited for that. So if you guys have any puppies, dogs, 8-year-old dogs, they work with all types of dogs. So make sure you guys check them out. Again, it's Fidelis K9 Training. It's FidelisK9Training.com. Visit that website for more information. I highly recommend them, man. They're good people, and they'll give you a free assessment of their dog for free. So check them out, man. So without further ado, let's get to the first trade. Why am I hearing myself? That's crazy. So this first one, and shout out to everybody in the chat already. Duncan
Yeah.
Robinson, Max Strus for Harrison Barnes, and a 2024 second round pick. Give me your train of thought on why you made or why you proposed this trade.
I mean, I feel like it attacks two needs for the Kings in terms of adding a shooter next to De'Aaron Fox and a sniper in Duncan Robinson at that, someone that moves without the basketball. Same thing can be said with Strus. Strus is a really good shooter, but he also brings defense and that size, and he's about to be, he's going to get paid after next season, but it's not going to be to an extreme amount to where you're feeling uncomfortable about it. And with Harrison Barnes having 1 year left, I'm not 100% sure that he's going to be coming back. I mean, he makes a lot of sense in this role that he has with Sacramento. I feel like this is going to be a team where he gets a ton of opportunity. So there is a good chance he would
Right.
want to come back. But at the same time, he is at the downside of his career at this point, right? Like we know exactly the type of player that he is, and to get that type of shooting and that type of defense in return for Harrison Barnes, I think just makes a ton of sense. I think that would be a huge
Okay.
haul for the Kings.
So first of all, shout out to our boy Yo Misael. He's a Kings fan from Culiacan, Sinaloa. Much love to you, man. Obviously, we appreciate the support from Mexico, man. Second of all, I'm a huge fan of Max Strus and Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson isn't even playing right now. That's the most insane thing after getting paid. What did he get paid? 18, 20 million per year. So seeing
16 and a
that,
half.
yeah, so how that developed and how Max Strus has really, replaced him because he's him plus a good defender.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just crazy how the Heat find so many gems all the time. Gabe Vincent being another guy from Stockton. He went to St. Mary's, worked hard for the Stockton Kings, and he got a chance. The Heat just know how to develop players. It's a great culture there. And if you add two really good shooters like this around Sabonis and Fox, that's how you progress and improve your team because we all know that they need shooting. And I keep hearing myself, geez Louise. Um, but it's so important for the Kings to find good shooting, and this would be a home run trade for the Kings. The question is, do the Heat, depending on what happens this year, right? Like both you and I can agree that they have a great chance to win the NBA championship this year. Are they willing to move on from Max Strus, knowing that I think they'll be fine with Duncan Robinson, but Max Strus, they'd lose a very versatile defender who can shoot the ball off movement shooting as well. I don't know. Is Harrison Barnes good enough to convince him? Is Pat Riley like, okay, well Harrison Barnes is the missing piece to a two-peat? They potentially win the championship. Maybe because Harrison Barnes does have the type of experience, and he's not going to be the second, third best player, and that's the important thing, right? Like you want a versatile 6'8", small forward, power forward, and they would have that in HB if the Heat would pull this trigger.
The big thing too you have to remember is look at that. There's still 3 years left on Duncan Robinson's deal. They get off of $18 million in money in a year, giving them the opportunity in the 2024 uh, free agency class to have money to go after some other players that could be available there, making Harrison Barnes possibly another trade asset down the road for other moves that could be made. And at the same time, I think it fits the mold of what they're doing. Harrison Barnes is a true professional. He comes in there, he works hard. I mean, you got to find players that fit the mindset that the Heat bring on a nightly basis. And I think Harrison Barnes does that. I mean, he's a quiet leader, but he is capable of being a leader just by showing up and working. He does his job, and I feel like he would be a nice fit in that starting three spot, or
Yeah.
as the starting four, however you want to look at him. And being so versatile in his closeouts, his defense, and being another scoring threat if Jimmy Butler has to miss time, if Kyle Lowry has to continue to miss time. And again, it gives them $18 million freed up at the end of next season. And if they win the championship, wow, good for them.
All right, so this trade is dicey. It's very interesting, right? It's a
Mm-hmm.
huge, huge get for both teams, really, and it's a directional trade as well. So the Utah Jazz would be acquiring Harrison Barnes, Dante DiVincenzo, Davion Mitchell, the 2027 first round pick, unprotected, I'm assuming,
Yeah,
the number 4 pick in
this
this
year.
year's
Yep.
draft, and the an unprotected pick, first round pick in 2024 for Wancho and Spida Mitchell. What's your thought, or what's your train of thought process behind this trade?
Look, Donovan Mitchell, whether people love him or hate him, they're going to talk about him, especially now when he's at his lowest point, I think, in his career since entering the league, in terms of how people view him as a talent. I still think he's a phenomenal star talent in this league, and putting him next to De'Aaron Fox, I think, makes a ton of sense, especially locked in for the next 4 years at his age. He fits the timeline the Kings are trying to do. He's a proven all-star in this league, a proven commodity in the playoffs, being able to put down tons of numbers, going heads to head with Jamal Murray, and putting up a ton of points when needed. He is a walking 30 points, which I think the Kings definitely do need here. Yeah, you lose out on that number 4 pick, and you lose out on those other 2 picks that I'm adding in there. Obviously, losing out on the other Mitchell is disappointing for the defense, but you're adding a true stud, and you're having a 3-headed monster in Sabonis, Fox, and Mitchell here, and Donovan Mitchell. And then for the counter side for the Utah Jazz, they
There's
are
no counter
questioning.
side. Like they are getting a freaking haul.
Right, they're questioning if they're going for the rebuild. And if you're questioning that at all, look at that. You have 1 year left of Harrison Barnes at 18 million. You're going to have open $18 million in cap space that following season. You're going to have another open 14 million from Dante DiVincenzo, or you could re-sign him. He fits a timeline for a rebuild, and he's probably not going to be that expensive.
So would
Davion
that be a
Mitchell has
sign
shown.
and trade with Dante because
Yeah, yeah,
he's
yeah, yeah, yeah,
restricted? But
yeah,
can you
yeah.
combine that in a bigger trade? I think that's my question. If obviously the machine lets you, but
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't
it could have
know.
been anybody else. I was just trying to find the way to make the deal to where it made a ton of sense.
So it could be
Obviously,
like
like,
Rashawn Holmes.
yeah, it could be Rashawn Holmes. It could be Rashawn Holmes, and then they can find a way to move on from Gobert, and then that's their little core for the next few seasons. You know what I mean? So I feel like both sides make a ton of sense if Utah is truly looking to start a rebuild, and in my opinion, it puts Donovan Mitchell right back in a team that is going to be competing right away, and it's in a mold that makes sense to what he's been used to playing. You know, a De'Aaron Fox has been comped to a lot of the time to Mike Conley. I think at this point of his career, you know, he's skill wise he's better than Conley, but Conley was obviously way more successful at this point,
Right.
being in Memphis. But those two, I believe, could
Okay.
definitely work together. And then you get Sabonis, who I think is the most skilled big man he's played with in his entire career. So it'd be make sense for both sides.
Kings next level says Duncan Robinson can't guard his own shadow. 3 and D guys only.
Hey, there's snipers in the NBA for a reason, buddy. It's because it pays to
Yep.
shoot that thing. Pays to shoot that
This is
thing.
a very interesting one, which would be a home run get for the Kings, I believe. And depending of a home run, if they get the Rashawn Holmes that we're used to seeing, but the Nets would get Rashawn Holmes, Dante DiVincenzo, Joe Harris, and a 2022.
So it'd be the
So
Philly
are you?
first round pick. Kings get a first round pick.
Why would they do that for?
So the reason why I would do this deal is because you get a locked in center for the next 3 years, and Dante DiVincenzo is going to be on a sign and trade deal that's going to be to whatever they can agree upon with DiVincenzo. So that was going to be my mindset there. And in return, you're coming off Joe Harris. You're bringing back in Seth Curry, so that shooting guard role is going to be taken up. KD is going to be your 3, no matter what, moving forward. Your forward positions are locked in, so you're going to need obviously the size, the rebounding, and Rashawn Holmes. They liked playing Claxton, but Claxton couldn't hit a free throw to save his life during the playoffs, and Rashawn Holmes can. Nick Claxton could be what Rashawn Holmes is in the next few years, but they get him right away and Rashawn Holmes. Dante DiVincenzo was starting to find his legs a little bit at times, so if you're still just looking for a shooter, DiVincenzo can be that for you, and as a wide open shooter, you saw what he can do in Milwaukee. Think about what he can do with a passer like like Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, giving him those open looks, and even Ben Simmons. So I think those two make sense, but you have to pay for those type of players that are going to be locked in for years. Joe Harris has the injury concerns. He didn't play much of last season, if at all, that I can remember. Yeah, we
I
know
would
he's a
still do
shooter.
the deal without the first round pick.
I mean, that first round pick is a late first round pick. I mean, it's damn near a second round pick. You know what I mean? So I think it makes sense for both sides. I don't know if the how much the Nets even praise having that young of a player already on their roster when they got that sharp kid on their team. And
Yeah,
and what's the other guy that is just he wants
a
to be a scorer
score.
so bad.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
he's
talking
really
about, right?
good. Yeah,
He's good.
yeah.
What's his name? I can't. His name is slipping my head right now.
He's a co MVP with Davion Mitchell in summer league.
What's his name though? His name is slipping
I'm
my head
slipping
right
on
now.
his name right now too. He
I'll
went
look
to
it up.
LSU.
Yeah, I know. I can tell you exactly what
Yeah,
his play style, everything. But
he's good.
it
Okay, so this is a very interesting trade involving the Raptors. The
Cam Thomas. That's his name.
Cam Thomas, yep, LSU kid. This is the Raptors, the Suns, and the Kings. The Suns, I wasn't too happy with the little video they showed today. With the whole team was like, playing around, dancing to I don't know what they were doing. Like they weren't focused. I am going to hold it against them. I'm one of those old heads that if you're playing a game seven, I expect a LeBron James mindset. I've been blessed to be like in his little circles when they played the Kings at home when they used to allow us to be on the court. And
Hmm.
his way of motivating his players, bro, is like we're going to war like the movie 300 to where he wants to kill you, like literally.
LeBron.
And yeah,
Yeah.
like that mindset is like we're going to war, like we're gonna and then these guys are like dancing and doing all this crazy ass like weak weirdo stuff, and I'm like, this is why you lost by 100 points to the Mavericks. So yeah, I they definitely would benefit from this type of trade because let's be honest, DeAndre Ayton is soft, and even though I think he's a great fit in Raptors culture, and I think this is a good trade all the way around.
This is the trade that I've been told that I need to off
Yeah.
myself because of this. Yo,
uh,
Twitter go crazy over trades, bro. Like you guys are, I get that you guys don't like my trade. That's fine. I open these for conversation. It's supposed to give you an idea of like, oh, that does actually make some sense if you can maneuver this here, maneuver that there. Like the trade isn't that bad. Like if you really think about the trade, isn't that bad? It makes sense for a lot of these teams.
it
But to tell me to
does.
go off myself, bro, like
So
yo,
yeah,
die, bro. That's kind of crazy over
yeah,
a
the
trade. This
Raptors
is
aren't
fake
trading
trades.
Siakam. If they are, it's definitely not this. Um, so
Look,
Aiden fits the need, right? Which
uh,
obviously covered the Raptors all year long with Robert.
mhm.
Whether or not they make this trade from a fit perspective, it makes a lot of sense.
Can I
They're
make my
not.
argument for it when
Go
you're
go
done?
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, we want to do it now? Okay, so here's my big thing for all those people that are saying, "Oh, it doesn't make that much sense. Pascal Siakam's way too good." Yada 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 yada. Right? What? Other than the fact that they made the playoffs and yeah, they were competitive against the Sixers and what they had, I'm still not 100% sold on the idea that the Raptors know that they're still rebuilt. They're still technically in a rebuild, but they have all the pieces that are for a newly built team, right? Pascal Siakam is approaching his 30s. He's starting to get to that point now where you have OG Anunoby and Scotty Barnes that can take his place. It's time to cash in those chips. And if that means you get a 23-year-old DeAndre Ayton where he doesn't have the toughness that Siakam brings, but he brings something that they showed they ultimately needed throughout the season and especially in the playoffs. They need a big man that can protect the rim and get its own shot off offensive rebounds or anywhere on the court. I think that Scotty Barnes to take that next step, he needs to turn into that Pascal Siakam role, and I think he has shown throughout his entire rookie season that he is ready for it. Now, could there be an argument made that you throw Shamit in this deal no matter what, and then that it's just for Pascal straight up? Because that was my big mistake, and the one that everyone's laughing at is I said throw in Gary Trent Jr. and you can get Landry Shamit. Should I have thrown in a pick? Yeah, but the idea of the trade is to get eight into the Raptors. You could throw in Landry Shamit
No,
as another shooter, and you get
they're
Pascal
not gonna
to
give
surround.
up get Gary Trent and Pascal for Aiden. I think giving up Pascal just for Aiden, you have him on a long-term deal. As you said, he's 23, going on 24, whatever. He fits that timeline with Scotty Barnes,
And
and
OG.
uh, my boy Van Hoot 2234, awesome listener, and we talk off the show, but he's talking about Aiden not being the guy in terms of not fitting that switching defense, which I agree with. He's not the best switcher, especially on the perimeter, because he has gone toast. He got toast in the finals, right? And he got exposed in this series too. Because, well, anyone gets exposed with Luka. Like, let's be honest. But I just feel like Aiden there makes just too much sense not to give up Siakam. Maybe the Suns give up a first round pick, right?
Yeah, I
And
mean, I
they
would
and they
do the
get the
Suns that
pick
deal.
back because they gave up a first round pick to get Thaddeus Young. So that could make sense. And then they go in and draft another, you know, 3-4 switchable guy, and they're amazing at finding those players.
Yeah, I feel like in the opposite side too. You look at the Kings side. I mean, they also get a player that's been on this team before, has been around a lot of these guys that are still there from his prior time there, in Rashawn Holmes, who could be a starter for this team right away. And he's great for pick and roll. I feel like he's a great mesh for what they're trying to do. And guess what? The switching on defense, the one thing Rashawn Holmes can do that's better than Aiton is in a pick and roll defense, he can move his feet faster than Aiton can. And I think he makes a ton of sense there. Size wise, I mean, he's a little bit shorter than Aiton. Rebounding wise, I would give the edge to Aiton there, even though Rashawn Holmes is a tenacious rebounder. I think Aiton's a better shot blocker than Rashawn Holmes is.
Yeah.
But you know what? He's still. I think Chris Paul makes any center better, and if you can improve on what Rashawn Holmes was able to do here in Sacramento, proving what he can be as a starter, that just makes a ton of sense to me. And then for the Kings to get Cam Johnson in return for him, that would be. I think it would be one of the do to in a Rashawn Holmes deal.
Okay, so this is the controversial one where James Ham talked about too. Give me your train, your your process of proposing this deal, bro. Because
Okay.
I go ahead.
Okay. Look. So look. Here's the thing for me, right? For me, in the top of the draft class, this is a three-player draft, really, in that mindset. A lot of people like Jaden Ivey. There's a lot of people that are talking about Keegan Murray, and I get it. Those guys are good players. Jaden Ivey has showed some potential here. A lot of people are starting to, and I think it's mainly just due to the fact that the Kings are at 4, and they're known to just like take uplifting players, and like his athleticism is there. They're starting to compare him to Anthony Edwards. And I don't know if I would ever really go that high into it, right? So the initial trade was, and this was to get the ball rolling that James made fun of me about. Shout out, James. Appreciate the shout out on your show. Was I had Josh Hart in the number 7 pick for number 4. Obviously, that's not going to be enough to move up for a number 4 pick, but the mindset of saying, oh, Josh Hart, that number 7 pick, and what else would they need to add to make that deal is what I think people need to understand. Not everything is going to be gift wrapped perfectly for you, but it's to give you an idea, and that's what I use the NBA trade machine
I'll
to
be
do
honest.
is
I think
like, hey,
James is tripping. Like you're moving 3 spots, and you get Josh Hart.
this is
Like
this is this is the counter to what James said on the show was even in the Luka and Trey Young deal, Atlanta Hawks had to give up an additional, or the Mavs had to give up an additional pick that turned into DeAndre Hunter when they wanted to get Luka Doncic.
sure. So you add a pick.
Right.
But Josh Hart, a proven, established, phenomenal role player who contributes to winning. And if the Kings are serious about winning, which I'm sure they are, they hired Mike Brown and they didn't go, a Ime Udoka type young coach, which is what they should have done. But it makes a lot of sense why they didn't because this culture isn't established. And if Mike Brown is defense first, what does Josh Hart do well, Vince?
Plays defense and rebounds.
So, and you move down 3 spots, you can still get a very versatile, say, a guy like Keegan Murray, who may slip to number 7 anyway.
AJ
And if
Griffin may slip.
they want that, I mean, like, it makes a lot of sense. It's
Look,
crazy to say go kill yourself over something like this.
no, the people that are telling me to go kill myself is about the Toronto Raptors trade about
Okay, okay,
is the
okay.
Ayton deal.
So
They were
Canadians aren't
calling
that nice, man. I love Canada. Shout out to you guys. I love you guys, man. We
no,
got a
but
lot of we have a lot of Canadians on this platform. So
right, but and I can see myself lagging. I can start to hear myself in the ears too. But James is the one who's talking about like, hey, you
oh,
need
okay.
more. This was the James said I need more, and I think what people need to understand is when I throw these trades out there, it's this is my first thought was this is an idea that you should do. Yeah, it's not going to be gift wrapped as complete, but saying like Josh Hart and the number 7 pick, you add in these 2 other picks, right? A 2022 second rounder that's going to be a late second rounder from Memphis and a 2024 top 5 protected. That'll be what gets you into that top 4, and that top 4 for them could be anybody, right? And I think Bryant West said it best. The Kings shouldn't consider trading this number 4 pick until you see how the top 3 plays out. Because if Jabari Smith is there at 4, do not trade
See,
this pick.
e-
I
e- e- even Apollo's like the Blazers wouldn't do that. Like they only do that if it's a top 3 pick, and that's what I'm saying. Like that, I actually agree with. Like if that was a top 3 pick, I understand what James is saying, and that's my counter to him is that that was a top 3 pick for Luca. Like that again, like top 4, bro. It's a huge risk,
yeah.
and I would make this deal to move down and still get Keegan Murray and get
My
Josh
thing is
Hart.
Benedict Mathurin. Mine's Benedict Mathurin. If he's there at
Sure,
7 and you get Josh Hart and Benedict Mathurin and
I'd
Benedict
rather get
Mathurin,
Murray and Hart because that makes a lot more sense in terms
I
of
just don't
fit.
think Keegan
Because
Murray drops to 7. I think if he's there at 4, 5, 6, someone's taking him. If the Kings make the trade.
we don't
Four,
know
five,
that.
six. Someone. I mean, you don't think Indiana looks at him. You don't think what I mean? Like there's
I
those
think
teams. What?
Indiana wants another guard to go along with with Tyrese and with my boy over there.
I just think Hart's the best player that you can get to fit next to Fox as a 2-3 defender role player I mean he can average 12 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists, and get you also like a steal and a half, and he could defend the best wing defender guards that come in on every given night. You know what I mean? Like he's a durable player, and on top of that, it's not like you're moving that far away. And this was my counter that I told everyone on the show was I think that this is a top 3 heavy draft, and I think that it's very close in talent when you look between 4 to 8. I think 4 to 8, there's a lot of talent that could be like it's decimal numbers difference on what that talent could be in those spots. So it I compare this draft class to 2013. I think you get that there, and then to potentially get a 2024 pick that can turn into something special. I think that makes a ton of sense as well. For me, I think that's the best trade I've made out of all of them, in my opinion, and that's including the Donovan Mitchell trade. I like that trade the most, and I
I
still
like
stand
that
by that
trade
trade.
too. I like the
I don't.
trade too. It's crazy to me. It's not, especially with the updated one, right? Where you
I
added
added the other picks.
2024.
Yeah,
I mean, what are we saying right now? Like the Kings were literally supposed to get 7 anyway, right? And you add again. I just don't think that
that's another bro, Leo.
the
What you just
NBA
said is
casual
my was my
fan
biggest
don't
argument.
understand how good Josh Hart is. Like I
Yeah.
really don't think that. Like if you ask all 30 coaches, they will rave about Josh Hart because Josh Hart is a winning basketball player that just does winning things, man. He's
Think
a
about this
lot
too.
like Dante DiVincenzo, but better.
Think about this too. Think about Fox. Let's say Fox goes down with like an ankle injury during the season. It's a long season.
100%.
What if you see a lineup of a backcourt that is Davion Mitchell and Josh Hart? That is Clamp City, bro. That's Clamp City in a backcourt, bro. Or in a front, well, yeah, in a backcourt. That'd be crazy.
Yep.
Davion, Josh Hart, Harrison Barnes, Demontis Sabonis, and whatever else. I mean, even if you have to add something like Justin Holiday, add that out there. That's a lot of defense on the perimeter with shooting. I don't know how that doesn't make
Yeah.
sense to most people, but again, I've been called crazy plenty of times, and I'm okay with it. I mean, my mindset in basketball is to look at pure talent that's on the floor, and I'm not a huge like predictor of talent down the road. I can just see talent when you watch players play. That's why I like watching basketball games to see how good someone is and not just like little highlights here and there. Um, but yeah, man, I mean, to see
So
what Josh Hart can do, it makes a ton of sense to me.
yeah, again, I just don't understand like the recreational casual fan that just doesn't see the value in the Josh Hart, but that's okay. I mean, that's why people have opinions, and that's why there are people that are in front office positions, unless your name is Nani Ranadive, or, you know,
Developmental league, she's developed, bro. She beat
she's
me. I
developing
applied.
into a great GM.
I applied, bro. These are what I lost out to. These trades were what I sent in for my application.
Oh man, SGA and the number four for the number 4 pick, Rashawn and Barnes in a heartbeat. What are we even saying? Like that would that would never happen though. But yes, like yes,
The number 4 pick were Sean
yes,
and Barnes for SGA. Yo, you know what? Just to make my heart feel better, throw in the Poku, and I'll feel even better, bro. Throw in I just want to say his name, bro.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I think people are asking about, and again, we'll talk about this in a separate pod. We're 30 minutes in, so we're good on time.
Yeah.
Is there any other trade right now before we just give people where we're at right now in terms of our favorite top 3 options for the number 4 pick? We're also having a Raptors podcast soon. I'm not sure if it's today or tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. Turn on those notification bells on. We'll have a Rockets podcast as well because the Rockets are in the crazy
Love the
situation as
Rockets.
well.
Love the Rockets.
And then the Pistons fell, right?
Yeah.
To number
5.
5. So that's a trading partner that Sacramento can play, that I can actually trade with. They got a guy that the Kings really want in Jeremy Grant. I don't know if that was, any of your proposed deals,
That
but
was gonna be the next one.
all right, well, go ahead.
So I have a couple here. Let's go with the first one since you brought it up anyways. It's gonna be Jeremy Grant and the 5 for the 4.
Ding 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 ding. Let's
Catch that.
let's give you a here we go. Here we
There's
go.
that
And another round of applause. Go
one.
ahead.
Thank you. So there's that one. Another one I have here is it's a little controversial. It's more of a question than it is of a hey, would you? I'm open to doing it. Rashawn Holmes and the number 4 pick, or Harrison Barnes and the number 4 pick. However, you have to make it work for you in your mind for Zion Williamson. That was gonna be the other one that I have there. Those were the two that I had in my mind that just it kind of just looked as if those
Bro.
could be.
Stop it. I mean that's a home run deal.
The other one is also from New Orleans though, and it's the number 4 pick for Brandon Ingram.
I want to press it. That one's tough. But
Okay. Now here's the one that
it's not tough. It's not tough. Come on. You're getting Brandon Ingram for the number 4 pick. Stop. Yeah, you're right. My bad. I just had a brain fart there. Go ahead.
You ready? Here's the other one. This is the one that I think Raptors fans are gonna hate me, but the number 4 pick in Rashawn Holmes for Pascal Siakam.
The number 4 pick in Rashawn Holmes. That's a what?
That's the other trade I had in my mind.
That's
but
crazy.
I couldn't post
if I'm a
it because
Raptors
I was
fan,
already getting told to off myself.
Like if I'm a Raptors fan, I'm for sure doing that.
Yeah, I thought that trade made sense to me.
If
too.
I'm a Kings fan, I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that.
You really? I mean, he fits.
Yeah.
He's 28 years old, about to be 29.
I get it, but I'm like,
they need to make the playoffs. They need to make the playoffs. Like it has to happen. They're going all in. Monty knows this is the final year of his contract. That's another thing we got to talk about here soon. That Monty's in the final year of his contract.
I mean, last year the Raptors, reportedly they were, flirting with Golden State for 7-14. And
they're
like
open to the idea of trading Pascal
for sure,
and I've been on the train that Pascal will be
if it makes sense. Obviously, it needs to make sense because Messiah loves him, right? He has the connections from from back home. playing for Cameroon. I don't understand why the hell Joel Embiid. I understand that he effed him up and he broke his face, but that's no reason for him to switch, from Cameroon to the other team to France. Like what? But yeah, I think I don't think I know if the right deal is there, the Raptors will move on from Pascal Siakam. Make no mistake about that. But yes, I do think the Kings would make the trade for Jeremy Grant and number 5 for number 4. That's an easy swap for both teams. I think both teams get what they want and what they need. They get off of his contract. You would obviously have to fit some deals and some money, going back to them because it just wouldn't make sense, right? But okay, so give me your top 3 guys if the Kings keep the number 4 pick.
Number 1 is Jabari Smith. I think Jabari Smith has all the talent in the
He
world to
won't be
be.
there though.
I
So,
agree, but these are what's current projections, right? I'm just going off current projections of like who could be
but
there at 4.
but he won't be there. He's a
I agree.
top 2 pick.
I think he's the top 2 pick as
So
well.
give me guys that could potentially be there at number 4 that are like your guys.
I mean, Keegan Murray is someone that I think is like number 1 on everyone's list. His defense
Yeah.
intrigues me a lot. His athleticism intrigues me a lot. I tweeted about it too. I don't know if you have that tweet pulled up as well from when I talked about him. I was watching tape on him not that long ago, and the one thing that I think scares me about Keegan is, and you're gonna hate this, you're really gonna hate this, is I have this like weird reminder of Derek Williams. Like that's like Derek Williams in college is what he reminded me of. Just super athletic player. Defensively, he is very versatile. He has these nice little post moves that gets him open because of his size and his ability to bump you. He can handle the basketball on the fast break. He can charge you on the fast break, which is very nice to see. I'm not sure about that jump shot. He's taken a few. I think it's a smoother jump shot than Derek Williams. I think he plays with a lot more patience than Derek Williams, but Derek Williams was a former number 2 pick for a reason. And I think it's because of what you're seeing right now in Keegan Murray, which is a very high potential player because of his defense. He could be a Derek Williams, which would be a bust, or he could be a PJ Washington, which is solid. It could be a Jeremy Grant.
Ooh,
But
check
you know what I mean? And you're getting that there at 4.
check
But
this one out.
I'm not
If
huge. I'm
Jabari
not
Smith
heavily sold.
falls to number 4, Kings trade Barnes, Holmes, Dante, or TD in the 2023 for Zach LaVine and Javante Green. You make that deal?
So you give up Jabari Smith. That's what we're gonna say there,
Barnes,
right?
Barnes, Holmes,
Harrison Barnes,
and TD.
Holmes,
Just
and
say
Dante or TD, or Dante and TD, plus a 2023 top 3 protected first round pick, and a 2023 second round pick for Zach LaVine. No, I'm not doing. That's a lot.
okay.
That's a lot. I wouldn't do that for Zach LaVine.
And real
And
quick,
I
you're
love
talking
Zach
about
LaVine.
yeah, right, me too. And you're talking about Aiden for Siakam now for Holmes and not even Chet or anything. I just feel like and with like all due respect, and every fan base is the same way. You tend to overrate your players and like how other GMs view them. And I feel like Raptor fans are extremely overrating Siakam because he's
I
not he's not that like he's not a top 15 player in the NBA. And they're acting like he's a top 15 and they're acting like they need the number 1 pick for him. And the reality is you're not getting the number 1 pick for Pascal Siakam.
I think
Like
he is a
you're not.
phenomenal player.
Me
And
too.
I agree. I think everyone knows how.
At best he's a Robin. He'll never be a Batman. He's already shown that. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Like being a Robin on a championship team is fucking great, but let's be honest, you're not getting number 1, 2, or 3 for him, and
Yeah,
like that's that. Like
but to get
no
4
one's giving you
and
1,
Rashawn
2, or
Holmes,
3. Yeah, no one's
to get
giving you 1, 2, and 3. I promise you that. There's not one GM in the league that will give you 1, 2, or 3 for Pascal Siakam.
yeah,
No way in
OKC
hell.
ain't doing it. OKC
No.
ain't doing it. Orlando definitely ain't doing it. That don't fit the timeline. So to get a number 4 pick, and you know what that number 4 pick could be? If you guys love those long wings, it could be a Keegan Murray. It could be, Jaden Ivey. Maybe you put him next to Freddie Van Vliet, and you can have Gary Trent be your sixth man like he was in Portland. I know that he doesn't like being called that anymore. He likes to be called the starter. But you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
there's potential there at 4, and on top of that, you're getting the center that you need. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like that makes sense. I think someone says
This
you were
isn't about
overrated
Rashawn
Holmes.
Holmes, Van Hoot. This really isn't about. This is about the
The number
Raptors
4 pick.
landing another top 4 pick in the draft and trusting Messiah and Bobby Webster to get another impact player like a Scotty Barnes. This has nothing to do. Holmes is just literally a plus. Like you're getting a starting caliber center for the first time in a long time. Marc
Since
Gasol
Dallas
was the
Mavericks.
since like Marc Gasol. So this is about the number 4 pick. You're not getting the top 3 pick for Baz. He's not that dude. I promise you that. In terms of my top 3 guys right now, I would say Sharp, Ivy, and Murray. That will be there at number 4 in my opinion.
I'm not big on Sharp, man. I mean, it's not that I'm
Okay.
not big on Sharp. I just feel like if you look at this Kings team and you look at the situation that Monty's in, it would blow me away to see him take this number 4 pick with such a huge question mark on what Sheldon Sharp is. He hasn't played a single collegiate game, hasn't really been in any competition since his senior year in high school. He was highly touted coming out. I mean, his pro day looked great, but his pro day was really slow. If you guys watch it, it's slow pace, knowing exactly what you're doing, and you're just hitting shots. The jumper looks a little questionable to me. I was looking up film on him as well and reading a lot of side notes about Shaden Sharp. And, the big thing for me about Sharp is his athleticism is crazy. His arm length is ridiculous. He's going to be able to jump over you. He reminds me a lot of Brandon Roy. Just like watch some Brandon Roy clips and then go watch Sharp. That's who he reminds me of. He is a very sneaky good scorer.
He's
I
good,
think,
bro.
yeah,
He's
it's
good.
just
He says, I think if I was the Kings, I would keep the 4th, draft Sharp, trade HB and Holmes and Davion for Ben Simmons or AD.
no.
I mean,
Ben
it's
Simmons
not.
is great, but Ben Simmons is great. I'm still on the bench. If you can add Ben Simmons to this team, I'm all about it. You know what I mean? But it's also at the same time like you need
Yeah.
shooting now. Like I think you have your two-headed monster, and you know what they need to do there. The only thing you're adding to this team is another like scorer. You know what I mean? Another
Hit the like
scorer.
button, y'all. Hit the like button, y'all. We got 58 people watching. We should have 58 likes. I'm just saying. Or 58 dislikes. Whatever the case may be. Final thoughts, Vince, before I let you go, man, because I have a huge headache and I'm getting a migraine right now.
Look, guys, the trade machine is made for fun. These things are supposed to start conversations. I love that you guys are interacting. I love that these things are getting over 100 retweets and starting a ton of conversations and stuff like that. Let's dial back on the Vince needs to go off himself stuff. That stuff is crazy to me. But I appreciate the love, appreciate the retweets. Just know nothing is always going to be gift wrapped to you. These are ideas so you can start playing with it, because these trades, in my opinion, I'm giving you guys my thought process of why it makes sense. I hope you guys enjoy that. I have a podcast coming out later on this week with James Ham. You guys will be here for that. And follow me at VM Center.
Tell James Ham I said that's an easy trade to make. If you get Josh
We'll probably
Hart.
debate that for sure.
Okay, so thank you guys so much. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. It'll be available on iTunes and Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts as well. CK Podcast with Leo Bios everywhere. Just type that in. It should pop up. Again, Raptors top 5 potential trades coming up as well. Thank you guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.